Okay. Hello, everyone. Um, we both are just recently woken up. Iris is sick, so if we're a little low energy today, I apologize. Um, so today we thought we talk about. Sorry. Um, we thought we'd talk about what would the world be like if countries actually took care of their citizens, um, if people were provided for. So not only would there be, a living wage no matter what your job is, but also there would be nobody being homeless, um, no little kids having to go to school and be in a breakfast program because their families can't afford to feed them, or in cases where there isn't stuff like that, just going to school hungry and not having anything. Um, I honestly think that is the way countries should be taking care of their citizens, because at the end of the day, not a single one of us asked to be here. We are put into existence by somebody else's choices, and then we have to do all of the things that life requires of us. Um, but it's not that a sense of people are owed anything, um, but more like just, you know, take care of the people that were born in your country and that live in your country. Um, because nobody should have to be worried that they're not going to have somewhere to live, or end up living in their car or on the streets. Children shouldn't have to starve because their parents can't make enough money to provide for them. Did you have some thoughts, Irish?
Um, yeah, and I know I bring age up a lot when I talk. Um, and you know, I try to give some insight insight or wisdom or something uh when I do talk about age, but I'm gonna segue real quick. Th- There would okay, and I'm speaking about the United States, but in a way, I have this thing that when the United States gets a sniffle, the whole world gets a cold. And in a way, I kind of can see where that could possibly be like a butterfly effect. Even though I've done like a lot of research now on the butterfly effect, and I'm very excited to. Um, there we go. um, I'm very excited to be on the show. But okay, getting back to the whole age thing or whatever. Okay. Um, so it used to be, we're talking about in the 19, around the Depression, around the time of the Depression, around the 1940s, when we were in World War II, which different countries were in World War II. Um, the countries actually did try to look after their people more. Um, the United States looked after during the Great Depression. The government did what they could to help with people that were unemployed and everything, and trying to make up jobs. People were kinder. It was a kinder place to where you would open up your door and feed people that you didn't even know. You wouldn't A lot of people wouldn't do that today. Um, you also there was a thing about your character and your integrity were what made you. And nowadays, I feel that we have, over the globe, we've lost it. I said to Kitty, because I wanted to do something about 9/11, but then I was pretty out of it yesterday, meaning that I just didn't feel really good. And so,
You can touch on that with this too, because I mean that it was just going on to what you're saying about things being kinder. Like obviously I'm Canadian, so it didn't impact us the way it
you're always
impacted
kind. Canadians are
you in
always
the
kind.
States. No, no, we're not. But I just mean, like the world, you could see the changes, and you'd see, like, even the news was reporting on it, like people, you know, just being good humans for a change, and taking that moment to stop and not just brush past somebody, like, sharing their cell phone so people could call their family when they're there,
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
at yeah, so and it did change for a while, and then we forget and we move on,
Went to hell in
and
a handbasket.
yeah.
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 I am going to, I'm not making this political. I'm going to try to not make this political, because, uh, I was on a different platform yesterday and, oh my God, there was 30 people on another platform literally cutthroat arguing about the United States and the elections coming up. It was heated, it was ugly, and we didn't have Zeus to be able to go bam, 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 and knock people out. Um, and unfortunately, we don't have the idea. We have a fist punch, but it doesn't really punch. Whoop! Sorry.
Careful.
Okay, so
You
my
might make
nausea
yourself
really
sick.
just went through
Yeah.
that. Okay. So, okay, when I was going back, going back, so in during the Depression, the years of during the years of World War II, the entire world pulled together. Everybody pulled together. Everybody took care of not their own, but they opened up their doors. They opened up their homes. They helped one another. Everybody cared about, So then when we're moving into the 1950s, people are starting to get money. People are starting to, you know, become corporate to where, they work for a certain company and that's what they did. And they did that till the day they die. Well, nowadays, corporations just don't give a flying, can I curse?
Of course.
Fuck. They don't give a flying fuck about you. They don't. They do not.
No.
And you know, as I said in one of my comic reliefs program that or comic um, comedy routines that the millennials and the people that are of above Gen X, so anybody born after 1980, they got it down right to where they're not letting people walk all over them. Like I was brought up, you work, you work, you work, you work, you work, you work. Um, your company will take care of you and stuff like that. That never happened. Um, they did for a while, but, so then we go from the 50s, wherever 50s and 60s, you work for, your businesses, mom and pop businesses thrived. Then you got into the Vietnam War, Kennedy, the assassination, that brought people together on any platform. People were affected all over the world, by Kennedy. Um, and his it kind of like I'm going to say Barack Obama. Barack Obama actually was really well received all over the world. Okay. um and when Kennedy was shot, it affected a lot of people across the globe.
Hmm.
um then in the 70s was kind of messed up. The 80s, I ain't gonna get into that, but you're thinking about the 80s and it was very materialistic. Everything was neon, neon, neon this, Izod, we were all living a high life. Money seemed to be really plentiful until about 1989 and then things started going south. And then in the 90s, and this kind of goes into like what we were talking about last week about grunge music and Kurt Cobain.
Hmm.
There was this, the world, my generation. People were starting to feel the effects of nobody's listening to us, nobody gives a damn about us, so we're, just screw it. We're just going to get by, the best we can, and fuck corporate America, screw this, who cares about that? Then 9/11 hit. And I can tell you that when 9/11 hit, it changed everything. Everything changed. People's for about 2 years, people of all countries, we all gathered together. It was like World War II. We all gathered together. Everybody was trying to help us in everything. Um, we were trying to help other countries, but then politics kind of got in the way. Um, and and then all of a sudden it just started getting really weird. People had conspiracy theories, and this is the first time besides Roswell. Roswell Area 51 has always been a conspiracy even when I was a kid, but it brought to the forefront of this lack of trust in not only the government but mankind. So now
Mm-hmm.
we have these theories of, we don't believe that, we ever went to the moon. We don't believe that, we believe that, Kennedy, our theories on Kennedy and stuff like that, which I kind of do agree there was more than just one, but that's just me.
Mm.
Um, but I mean, it made people question, but it made people get ugly. So
Yeah.
9/11, for a while, people came together and were helping one another, and they they did what they could to start to bring in, and look, you never knew when your number was going to be called up, so you actually, opened the door for people in a grocery store when they weren't automatic, or got a shopping cart for somebody, or you saw actual people not playing the system, but actual people who were homeless or needed money, and you would freely give to them because you believed that they might have been in a bad situation. Now that's a scam. You can't trust the people that are sitting there. Um, so in any event, you jump ahead, and more theories, conspiracy theories come out, and it just got divided to where people were becoming meaner. The internet, I think, had a bunch of great qualities, but at the same time, I
It
think
does
it
help them be
also,
meaner.
oh my God, because
Mm-hmm.
let's take Barry, who, hello, just came into the room. Could be the nicest person you want to meet, face to face.
Mm-hmm.
Me, I could be the greatest person face to face that you'll ever meet, but I get behind that keyboard and I go completely in the opposite way, and don't want, I will pick apart everybody, or something like that. So you don't hold anybody, nobody's held accountable. And I
Mm-hmm.
think when people are seeing our country, or the United States, that, we can't get our shit together, other countries are like, they can't get theirs, or it's changed. I don't think, now that I know a lot more about Canada, and everything, and the Great Britain, because you guys have free healthcare and everything. And I'm like, wow, they really care about their people. Um,
Except they're gutting it.
and I really think a lot of that has to do with what they are seeing. And I think a lot of that, if countries um, would just be kinder, more understanding. And like you were saying, you were making a thought. I kept thinking of the movie Divergent. I know that sounds really weird. I don't know if anybody's ever seen the movie. I don't know if that goes into socialism, Marxism, or something like that. No, I don't think it's Marxism, but it's socialism, maybe. I don't know. But can we have it to where we're available, the countries are available for their systems when they actually need
Mm-hmm.
help, instead of being just the people in charge greedy? and they're going to go along and say whatever they need to say to get the most votes and stay in because
Mm-hmm.
it's all about power. It's not about people anymore. It's about power and maintaining that power. And if they looked at their citizens, I mean, truly looked at what their citizens are going through and truly looked to say, hey, you know what? This needs to be done, that needs to be done. Let's just and be kinder. It used to be, you would have disagreements in the political system and your opponent or whatever, but they were at least civil. Now the people that we used to tell growing up, you would say, "Oh, you would need to, be like Kennedy or be like so and so." Not that there was any perfect politician. There's not. There never will be.
Mm-hmm.
But there's pretty damn nice people that are good role models out there, and we can't
Yeah.
even say, "Hey, is this what you want?" And that's what I bring up to a lot of parents that have young children, and even in my husband's family, I'm like, really, is this what you want your grandsons to act like and talk like and everything, and not help people, like the actual people that really need help? Because
Mm-hmm.
because we do. I mean, we really do. We need emotional support. Um, and we don't know who to trust. We can't trust anybody. And if you can't trust anybody, how can you have a really good thriving system?
Yeah.
Who's going to help
Um,
us?
Nobody, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Um, so one thing,
I
just
hope my
touching back on,
ADHD. I
oh,
hope that
you
didn't
know
go a
what?
little bit.
No. Moth and I have subtitled this podcast the ADHD files. So we
Okay, cool.
we would always just go everywhere, all over the place with this.
I somehow tried
Um,
to bring it back around, so bear with me,
it's
guys.
all good. Um, so just to touch up on a couple, I'm sorry, I have to yawn. Okay, so just
Wow,
to
I could
touch
see
on
your
a
guts.
couple. um, in regards to Canada and the free healthcare, the free healthcare has become worse and worse over the years. Hospitals are underfunded. There's not enough doctors. There's literal waiting lists that are years long to get a doctor. I do not have a doctor. Dental care isn't included, has never been included. They've been slowly adding dental care. That's literally the only good thing that's being done, and that's only because the NDP and the Liberals become a team when there's a minority government in the House, and that way the Conservatives don't have more votes because the other two have banded together. So the NDP, in order to give their consent to something that the Liberals wanted to do, pushed through this dental care thing. So it started with children, and then it went to 65 and older, and now in January it's supposed to become for everything. So that's great, but there's probably limits on it. There's people who have probably had decades of damage to their teeth that limit is probably going to be easily surpassed. Dental work is extremely expensive. Um, and I don't know, I feel like in some ways that's treated as like a luxury when it is not. It's a necessity. Um, we our eye care isn't covered. Anything to do, you know what I mean? Like if I wanted to get my eyes
Glasses
tested,
or
I would have
yeah.
to pay. If I need glasses, I have to pay. Um, Mental health, non-existent in terms of free support. There is some there, but it's like few and far between. Again, with the waiting lists, and your appointments are not going to be as frequent as they would be if you had the money to pay for it. I think all of these things should just be there. They should be properly funded. You go to the hospital at 3 in the morning here, and there's a screen there telling you there's a 10-hour wait at 3 in the morning. It's ridiculous. Um, I just think that our governments are failing us. And, in terms of of homelessness, like people, a lot of people will look down on it or just say they're drug addicts. And I'm not talking about the scammers that sit there looking homeless and then take their money and get in their nice car and drive home. I'm talking about like actual people that are even just priced out of their rental units. We used to have a rent control kind of law, but then the Conservatives have been in power in Ontario for far too long. So they've done a lot of damage that's not going to be fixed. And one of that is they removed caps on buildings that are built after a certain year. So everywhere else, landlords can only raise your rent by a certain percentage, and it's usually something like, I don't know, 3%, something that your rent goes up 20 to 30 bucks every year. So it's not like a big, because your income's not changing
Right.
like that. They're 30 bucks every month on a yearly basis. But those units that were built after the certain year, you could be on a lease, right? And let's say you're paying $1,000 a month for a year. When your lease runs out here, you automatically go month to month. You don't have to sign a new lease. You don't have to have another year-long contract. But the thing is, in one of those newer buildings, that rent could be $1,000 for the year, and then the contract's up, you're month to month now, and your landlord's telling you, hey, now you have to pay $3,000 a month. And there's nothing you can do. Nothing. Now, after COVID, the rents have skyrocketed. Where we live, we're actually paying what I would think you should pay for what we're living in. But people coming into this are paying, I think, about maybe $500 more a month than us, because rents have gone up everywhere. People are renting a literal room in a house with shared bathroom, shared kitchen, shit like that for almost $1,000 a month. It's ridiculous. That's a room.
You are
Like
kidding. In Canada?
I'm not kidding. Yes, I could show
Oh
you
my God.
ads. Yep.
I mean, is it in a major city or something? Or,
Not a major one, no. Like it's not a small town.
jeez,
It's not a major city. It's
Louise.
not a metropolis. It's nothing like that. Um, and then the housing market is another thing. Like generations now, they're, unless something changes drastically, and I mean, how would it? They're probably not going to own homes ever. Foreign investors are buying properties up like crazy and
Mm-hmm.
then renting them out. So
Mm-hmm.
you have international students coming, and they'll be like, oh, this house is, $3,500 a month, which, a family or a single mom could never afford. But hey, they'll get 8 people sharing the home, and now they're each only paying a few $100s so they can do it. But, families, you want to raise your family and live in your home. You don't want to live in a home with 6 other people and your family. That's not that's not what it's ever been like, but that's what it's becoming. Or you're just, you have your kids and you're crammed into a small apartment that you can afford. And then when you can't afford that, what options do you have? Because you're living in one space, and around you everything else is going up, every time. An apartment that was at $1,000 today and people moved out of and they're putting it back up for rent, they could throw it up for $1,500. So all around you, rents are going up and up and up. And even if you're living somewhere that you only have that certain percentage going up every year, you try to move somewhere else, and it's like, oh, now all of a sudden you have to figure out how to pay more than twice what you were paying for rent. Well, your income hasn't gone up. And that's another thing in regards to income. Everybody should be paid a living wage regardless of what their job is. I don't care if you're flipping burgers at McDonald's. That's work. You're providing convenience for people. They make millions of dollars. Minimum wages were put in as a protection for workers so that they're not severely underpaid for the kind of work that they're doing. But what it's become is all that you're offered for certain jobs, and some of them like factory jobs. Like when I was growing up, factory jobs used to be a big deal. You made good money, you had good benefits.
Mhm.
Now I see factory jobs posted for not even a dollar over minimum wage. And I'm like, what the fuck? Because those jobs also, those jobs also take a toll on your body. And
Mhm.
even like the stuff that I do, like repetitive stress injuries, stuff like that, like you're basically breaking your body for peanuts. And when you do retire, it's not going to be a good rest of your life. Um, People are in pain every day. I'm in pain every day. Like my shoulder's screwed. One of my knees is screwed. I work on my feet every day, 5 or 6 days a week. I had to go into my day off yesterday. And it's just, that's not the life people want. But what choice do you have if you don't want to live on the streets? You have to do it.
If I can quote from the movie, Office Space, we were not meant to work in cubicles, but, um,
Yeah, great movie.
yeah, that's a great movie. In any event, now here's the thing, when you look at people that are boomers or the silent generation that they're still around, you know, their housing was affordable. Housing was affordable because you got a
One
decent
income,
wage.
house, and a
Yeah, one
car.
income.
Mom stays
Mhm.
home, raises the
Yep,
kids.
takes kids, yes. When we're talking about when I was on my own, we're talking 1989, 90, 91, 92. When I was out on my own after high school, because I did not go to college because I couldn't afford it, number 1. Number 2, I was kicked out of my house. My family, my parents, we didn't have a great relationship, but 1 month after graduation, I was kicked out. So, and I grew up in Catholic school, guys. I didn't know anything really. I didn't know how to balance a checkbook. I didn't know how to do anything. But I had to work 3 jobs. I was working 3 jobs. One, I thought I would, be a flight attendant, but not even gonna get into that. But, I wound up working 3 jobs, an office job, I did, work at at a at a farm, and then also I was a cocktail waitress, or I was just a waitress, trying to, and so I worked 3 jobs, and that's what I had to do to survive. Now granted, I lived in a house with a woman. I didn't have my own bathroom, but I lived in her house.
Mm.
And the rent was back then $200. So if you think about it, that was probably kind of a little high, for like the 90s, because I had to still
Hmm.
buy my own food and stuff like that. And, I wasn't even breaking 10,000 a year, back then. Um, and so, and by the way, when I started working, working when I was 13. It was $2.75 American dollars. Um,
And I
and
will say, while you say that, I'm just going to pause you for 1 sec. Tip your servers because in certain states they're only making 2.75 an hour, which means if you don't tip them, they're paying to serve you. Anyway,
yes,
continue.
yeah, exactly. Um, and okay, so basically where I was going is that you could have a life, and you had to work hard, but still things were readily available, and then after 9/11, things kind of started changing, and then once 2015, 2014 hit, the world got meaner, people got meaner, people got greedier, and now we're in this situation where, it's so sad to say. Oh, and let's not even forget colleges. Even if
Mm-hmm.
you wanted to go to college or something to that effect. Now, I went to a technical school to get my nursing thing. Would I've liked to have gone to a 4-year college? Yeah, probably, but I was married at the time. But I mean, you take out like these huge student loans that really, for what purpose do you have to take all these stupid classes to obtain a piece of paper? that have nothing to do with what your career is. And I think
Yeah.
that's what people are finding out right now is that do I really have to take trigonometry if I'm going to be in business or quantum physics or I don't know. Just I'm just throwing things out there, But you didn't, and you don't. And it's about money. The greediness of even colleges about money.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
it's just, and I think there's places in the world where you can go to school for free. I don't know where that is, but I think you can. But there are a lot of people from other countries that come to our country in the US to go to school. I don't know how they're making it, but from what I understand, from a lady I'm friends with who works in HR, companies will seek out people, bring them over to the United States, have them, provide everything for them, provide their schooling and help with school so they would go and work for their companies instead of actually looking in their own company, in their own, you know, um, in their own
Mm-hmm.
countries for, you know, here. But no, it's a lot harder. But if countries did take care of their own people, um, it would be better. I don't understand why in England or the UK or whatever it takes so long to see a doctor. Are there a lack of I know you said there's a lack of funding, but are there a lack of physicians and stuff like that just
Yeah,
can't
they're
cover it?
actually this was back I was still pretty young. I can't remember if I was teens or maybe early 20s, but they actually put a cap at one point on how many doctors there could be becoming doctors every year. And also you have people that come to this country that may have had medical degrees in their countries before coming here. They would have to go back to school here before they could practice.
Yes,
I
that's true
believe they are
because I looked into
doing
that.
something about that. Yeah, I believe they're doing something about that to make it easier. But I mean, that's now, and this has been an issue for how many years, kind of thing. So,
Because in 2000, I think it was in 2020, I think, or 2016. I think it was 2020. I had said that if things go bad, then I think we just need to move to Nova Scotia. And I was actually looking at places and
mm-hmm,
everything. But then, and, we actually thought about, moving to Ireland, but I could not use my nursing degree or diploma in Ireland because they think that our medical education is subpar. So I would have to
right,
retake everything again. But the funny thing is now is as me as a licensed practical nurse and as a hospice palliative nurse, which that's just something you do on the side, but um, I would have to go back to school if I wanted to become a higher up, like an RN or something. I would literally have to go back and take anatomy, physiology, biology, chemistry, algebra, all that all over again. Now, as a
mm-hmm,
nurse, I know where your femur is in your tibia and how the endocrine system works, or else I wouldn't be a nurse. It's all about greed, it's all about money.
mm-hmm,
And, can't we make things easier on people? Why is everything so flippin' expensive? That I don't understand. And I think it's just the US. No, it's not just the US. It's everywhere.
mm-hmm. No,
A
it
friend of mine
is.
who lives yeah, a friend of mine that lives in Nova Scotia, she has like maybe a 3-room apartment. I think it's a 3-room apartment, and she's paying like over $1,200 just for 3 rooms that is
Mm-hmm.
in a big house. Like it's in a
Yep.
very big house that's broken up into apartments. And I'm just, wow, you know, that's that's just ridiculous. And that's
Mm-hmm.
just for rent. Um,
It doesn't
and
include
it's
utilities or food or anything
no,
else because,
no,
like these days, the
no.
internet is a necessity. It's not a luxury. Um,
Mhm.
you cell phone. I mean, you know, everything. They're just the world changes, and we, and I say we, but I don't mean like you and I guess I mean more mean government don't keep up with it. And there used to be I watched I think it was from 2003. There's a book, but they also made a documentary, and it's just called The Corporation. And it was extremely insightful. But one of the things that they used to do was every so many years, and it's been a while since I watched this documentary, so I can't remember exactly how many years, but every so many years, companies would be broken up so that monopolies weren't formed. Because you look and you see like most of the brands in your stores, like in and I'm just talking grocery stuff, not, clothing, other departments, grocery stuff. It's
Mhm.
one of two or three big companies that has all of those other little brands under them.
Mhm.
Um, and they just become bigger and bigger and bigger. And I just think like
A monopoly.
yeah, but one thing that disgusts me is the fact that they say, oh, we can't pay you more money. Oh, if minimum wage goes up, we have to raise all our prices. Meanwhile, the people at the top are getting crazy bonuses. You're having crazy amounts of expensive catered food for meetings and lunches and hotels paid for and this and that. Why? Why do those people need all that? They don't. Pay your workers. Like, it's just ridiculous.
I have noticed in the United States that our fast food joints like McDonald's and Wendy's and everything, where you used to be able to go and get, a combo,
A
and it used
cheap
to,
meal.
yeah, a cheap meal, and
Mhm.
you'd pay about $6. I remember when everything was like 2 for 2, um, and, or, 2 for 5, and that wasn't that long ago. But I did go through the drive-through of McDonald's the other day, and I
Mhm.
just said, "I'm gonna ask you a personal question." This is when I was checking out. I said, "Did you guys' wages go up? Like, did you get a wage increase or something like that?" Because I know they were talking about, and she said, "Yes, actually we did."
Mhm.
And there has been a change in the people that I've seen working at McDonald's. Like, the people that I used to see, they're no longer there. There's different people there now. But yes, they have gotten, a raise or whatever, but their the prices have gone up,
Mhm.
you know. Why? It's 'cause it's greed. So here's my thing. What can we do? Because everybody says you need to vote, do it at the ballot box. That's how you get things changed. Bullshit. I call
Yeah.
bullshit. Okay. It doesn't change because you know, your vote does not change because people have been voting the same way for years and years and years and years, and they don't
Mhm.
believe in change. A lot of people don't believe in change. Okay. But something needs to be done. And it's those people that are complaining about change that are the ones that, hey, you know what? Step away from what you always did because that's what you always did and make a change. The
Mhm.
person that I take care of as a patient, she is 93 years old. Um, she voted a certain way her whole life, but we did take her to vote the last election, and she wants to go vote in this election. But her daughter does not want me to take her, or wants to think about it. And the reason is because she knows that her mother is not going to vote for a certain party and therefore doesn't want her mother to vote.
Mhm.
And I'm taking her to vote anyway. I don't give a damn. I just, what's right is right. And heck, she doesn't come and see her mother anyway. So,
Mhm.
you know, um, I'm going to do that, but we can't leave it up to the politicians. We cannot leave it up to corporations. So what do we personally do? What can you or I do except for hold a door open for somebody? Say, hey, by the way, I like what you are wearing today, or that's a really cool hairstyle, or something like that, or you know, what can you do in order to? change and make people's lives better, and then they'll see that and maybe be an influence on other countries. What can we do? Any suggestions, Kitty?
That's the problem is I don't like it's easy to be nice, it's easy to be kind, it's easy to be a good human, but as much as and I do this, like I subscribe to that, like I will compliment people on their stuff and I will see, how, they're not expecting it and how they react and I like those moments, but it makes somebody feel better in the moment, but you're still going home to potentially an apartment you can't afford or an apartment that it does not meet your needs, but you don't have any other choice. You're still making the same minimum wage. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
and now, like there used to be peaceful demonstrations and grassroots movements and pushes of change. And I know that in some places, like it's becomes protests and it does become dangerous and violent, but sometimes it's a protest and it's not dangerous or violent, but they are still met with force by the law. There's like riot gear. There's, whatever the shit they throw up, tear gas, whatever. And it's almost like, you know, people are having that right taken away, really, of trying to force that change. Um, and even with the Wall Street stuff, right? When everybody was wearing the anonymous masks,
Mhm.
the V for Vendetta, even their laws about masks and stuff like that. Well, ironically enough, COVID came around and we all had to wear masks anyway. Um, but even those Wall Street protests, what did they change really at the end of the day? And I mean, there's like so many people marching, and even like in the US, women's rights being taken away, and some of that leaks over into Canada, and our conservative our conservative party holds that same kind of thing where they would take those rights away given the chance. And I just I'm just disappointed in the world. Like I'm disappointed. And it's you shouldn't have all the wealth into like one little bubble while the rest of us, either struggle or are okay enough. I just, the minimum wage for my area is $5 or $6 below what the government statistics say the living wage for this area is. Like, there's a huge disparity, but there's nothing being done to fix that. And I don't know, like sometimes the government will throw money at us. We get certain rebates back, and they're all income based. So we used to only have one sales tax, and this many years ago they added in another, which was a goods and services tax. They combined the two of them into a harmonized, so like one's 7%, one's 5%, what have you, kind of thing. Um, so quarterly, so every 3 months we get a GST rebate, but if you make over a certain amount, you don't get that. There's now like again quarterly. There's Canada Workers Benefit. So I just had a random $200 extra because I work and I'm underpaid. So the government's like, hey, here's a couple $100 4 times a year. They do it too with the climate action incentive. That's another thing. So all of this stuff, you file your taxes, it figures it all out for you, and then you just automatically get this money. But it's still not enough. It still does not bridge any gaps. Um, and you know what? It goes out of my bank account as fast as it comes into my bank account. Um, really, we need fundamental changes where people, CEOs, whatever, all those people are capped and bonuses are capped and money has to go down into the workers so that they can actually live a life they can enjoy. Like in the States, like we earn 4% of our 4% of our earnings are given to us in vacation pay so that we can let it sit there and actually have paid vacation. I've heard that that isn't even a thing in the US. There's so many workers that do this stuff, like work in Walmarts, work in McDonald's, never get to take a week off because they can't afford to not work. And even here, being sick, if I'm sick, I have to mask up and go to work because I can't afford not to go to work.
Right.
So I don't know. It's just
There's an
the system's broken. Sorry, Irish. Go ahead.
No, no, no. I was interrupting you. This is a thing which I have to say that it happened during an administration that I voted for, and I if I could, I'd kick this man right in the ass. But if you are laid off from a job, okay, I don't know if you know about this, but if you're laid off from a job, my husband has been laid off since February of last year, and he's in a very his what he did for a living is very specified. So,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, there's a lot of jobs that have been lost for this particular. So, we're struggling, but he got a very good um, severance pay or whatever.
Right.
And the government took 40% of that money
That's
in taxes.
ridiculous.
So here you're going to lay somebody off. All right. They have to go out and find a job. And if you get a bonus, 40% of your bonus goes to taxes. Severance pay, 40%. Inheritance tax, I don't know what the inheritance tax is, but if your family member dies and you are supposed to get some money back by that, there's an inheritance fee that you have to pay. I don't know exactly how much it is, but it's ridiculous. More and more taxes. For what? I mean, I mean, I'm sorry, but if you're being put out of work and they're taking money out, or if you're getting a bonus, I guarantee
Mm-hmm.
damn well to you that your corporate people are finding a loophole that they're going to have to pay 40% out for taxes on that because they damn well never even filed their taxes to begin with. Or, I know the
Mm-hmm.
loophole. I know how to do taxes. I can make this work. Bullshit. I call bullshit. And I shouldn't be saying this because I'm saying it way too much. But I mean, I don't know if you knew that, but that's ridiculous.
Yeah. No, I didn't.
Yeah. So inheritance tax, 40% off of bonuses, 40% off of severance pay. And
And
it's
not.
just like, that's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. And what do you see out of it? Nothing.
Just just trying to survive. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but protesting doesn't get you anywhere.
Yeah.
Um, and uh, what I saw is when a certain administration was in power, that the UK had a person that came in, and I don't want to offend anybody in the UK if you're listening or watching or whatever, but you had one person who was mean as hell or just like not a really nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
And it looked like he never even brushed his hair. It really didn't. I don't understand that, but it looked like he never brushed his hair, but he kind of like was kind of really a nasty, mean kind of guy. And
Mm-hmm.
then I've heard about how like the UK, they're not as friendly as they used to be. Canada, you guys are still friendly. You guys have always been friendly. So kudos to you Canadians and people from New Zealand, but well, people from New Zealand, man, they got it made. They pay high taxes, but it's hard to get
Oh
in if you
yeah.
wanted to move somewhere. But yeah,
They get
can't
the
we
most
take a
vacation.
yeah,
6
Sweden
weeks or something
too.
like
And
that. Yep.
doesn't France have like a freaking month off in August where they don't work?
Wow. I wish I had a
I
month off.
yeah. But in any event, I've got I've got to actually go. But
Yeah,
you know, does anybody in the audience, does anybody have any ideas on what we can do?
I think John's taking a nap.
Big John? Oh, yeah. I think he left because he knew he was going to get called on.
No, he's there.
No,
I'm just picking on him.
and you know about the vacation. I still have 32 days left, and I have taken out 5 weeks this year.
And where
Yeah,
are you
32 days
living?
left and taking out 5
Sweden.
weeks. Jesus. Yeah.
Gotta love those Swedes, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if we
Maybe.
worked for a Swedish company, if we sought out Swedish companies.
Do I get a free lifetime supply of Swedish berries? Because I'm in.
I don't know. I watched Midsommar and I like the juice and the stuff that they give. So I'm just saying, here, drink this. Sure, I'll take that. You know, looks good to me. Except I'd be scared about. No, no, I'm only kidding. But yeah, I do know that Sweden really does take care of its people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another country it's very hard to get in citizenship. Like I think Audrey Hepburn, I think that's where Switzerland or Sweden, I think that's where she passed away. But I mean, it was really
Mm-hmm.
hard for her to get in, and that was Audrey Hepburn.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to throw that out there. Sorry
Mm-hmm.
to leave you,
No,
but
you're good. We're basically done. I just wanted to because I know you have to run off. I just wanted to remind everyone. I'm sure you guys have seen it in the Discord, but in an hour, roughly an hour, 3 Eastern, we're going to be doing a fundraiser for Vanquisher. He is in danger of losing his home because of damage done to a rental property that he owns that was his income. So we are trying to help save his house. In the Discord, in the general chat, there is a PayPal link. The space that we are going to be holding the event in also has a PayPal link. It's directly to him. There is no middleman. If you don't use PayPal for whatever reason and you want to donate but only have Cash App or Venmo, John has kindly volunteered to be the go-between. So we will get you that information if that's what you need to do, and then he'll make sure that gets to Vanquisher via PayPal. And even if all you can do is show up there to physically be there and support him, that is also greatly appreciated because he really needs friends right now while he's going through this. He should not be going through it alone. But thank you for coming.
thank you,
Iris,
and
thank
tell
you
Kitty
for
Kitty.
doing
I
this.
hear the cat.
Yeah, I got to feed her. She's hungry. But yes, thank
Yeah.
you for stepping in as always, Irish. I appreciate you. And we will discuss potentially moving the time of this, only because I
Okay.
want to get out of bed.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. Sorry I have to blitz
Yeah,
out, but
all
appreciate you.
good. Thank you. Thank you, Shoseki. Beautiful.
Yeah.